Well, good morning, everyone. It's another beautiful morning on the Forms Superhighway, and thank you for joining our webinar this morning. This is Patrick at Qdabra. If you can hear me, please raise your hand and we'll just do a quick audio check. Appreciate you all being here. Thank you, Mark. So today we're talking once again about FormsViewer, and the reason for that is that Microsoft announced at the end of July that they were stopping the sandbox support in Office 365. So the first question I have for all of you is, how many of you are using 365 right now? I've got a quick poll. Hopefully you can see that poll. It is launching. And we're really looking at those of you who have forms in 365. That's the first question. Actually, that's the only poll we have today. Looks like we have most of you in the 6 to 15 range. We'll give the poll another few seconds here. And we've got 45% of you that have 0, and 36% have 6 to 15, and 18% have 1 to 5. Nobody has more than 15. That's great. Thank you for that quick poll. So we're really talking about helping you to move off of the InfoPath sandbox support so that you can have business continuity. So the key thing behind FormsViewer is giving you the ability to continue using your forms as is without breaking the existing processes. And it's free. We've been talking about it for a couple years now. We've been doing webinars this month because of the urgency around the announcement. Now, caveat, Microsoft did say in their SLA, as their service level agreement, that they will give 6 months prior notice. So the fact that they're only giving 30 days seems to be different than the SLA. So it's possible that they're just trying to get people aware of this early, but they did say August 28th in that blog. So we have to take them at face value there and try to help you. We're going to talk today about, we're going to show you how to install FormsViewer. We're going to show you the diagnostic tool that will help you assess your forms. Most forms should convert just fine without any changes, but you will need to make a few minor configuration changes to your libraries. And we have some tools for that, along with tools for advanced scenarios if you're using forms in lots of different subsites. So without any further ado then, let's do a quick review of why FormsViewer is important now. Once again, like I said, Microsoft is removing the sandbox support in 365, and they've said August 28th. If you don't have a browser form, in other words, if you're using InfoPath Filler, or if you're not using Office 365, you don't need to worry, right? Because everything will continue to work just fine. But if your forms have Q rules, they will stop working in the browser in Office 365. We've already seen customers that could no longer publish forms to 365 if they had code in them. The forms that were there still continue to work, but on August 28th, maybe they won't. So we have a very quick solution for you, and it's called FormsViewer. The app, essentially, you just install an app. It takes your InfoPath forms as is, lets you view and edit them. So it's very minimal in terms of migration costs. We don't require any kind of a purchase. We are open sourcing it in GitHub, and that's any day now. We've been talking about that for quite a while. It's not quite there yet, but that's just a matter of time, and we're going to do that after this release, 1.2. FormsViewer today is in version 1.2, and so it has a lot of extra features. We've added rich text, we've added people picker, we've added a responsive UI design, we've added up to 40 different Q rules commands. You've also added things like external submit. You don't need an enterprise license of SharePoint, so that helps you reduce cost. We have customers using it with SharePoint Foundation and with non-E3 accounts on 365. But we're here for you. We're going to be shipping new versions throughout the year. We've been doing that for the last 2.5 years. The initial version was shipped in December of 2013. That was an alpha. We followed up with the beta in March of 2014. We shipped version 1 in July of 2014, 1.1 last year, and this is 1.2. And we're going to be doing another quick release probably in September, October this year. Okay, so let's do the demo. Jimmy Risch is our lead developer of FormsViewer. He's the guy that is responsible for all the good work that you see here. And Jimmy, it's great to have you here. I'm going to make you presenter.
All right, thank you, Patrick. So I'm going to be walking all of you today through the process of installing the app, uploading forms to it, and configuring your libraries to integrate with FormsViewer. So there are a couple of places where you can download the FormsViewer app. Perhaps the easiest place to find it is in the downloads section of our InfoPath dev forum. Don't know how many of you have visited this, but this is our forum for InfoPath help. You can just click on downloads here and then go to FormsViewer 1.1 folder down here. This will soon be becoming 1.2. And we recently set up a FormsViewer instance in Europe, so I'm going to go ahead and download that. That's downloading. And I'm also going to need this configure links in a library to open in FormsViewer download. So I'm going to get that as well. All right, so here are my zip files. I'm going to extract them. Oops. No, didn't want to do that. All right, I'm going to put them in each of their own folder. Okay, so first I want the app itself. So here in this FormsViewer Europe folder, I've got an app file, and I've got a PDF with instructions for installing it. So right now I'm going to walk you through basically the steps that you would find in that PDF. So you're going to need to go to your your Office 365 site, and this will require global admin access within your tenancy. So if you don't have that access, you may need to talk to an IT department, ask them to upload the app file for you. So in order to get to the admin center where you upload the app, there are two ways to do that. One simple way is to just -admin at the end of your subdomain, and then remove everything after the slash. The more sort of official way to do this is to click this menu up here in the top left, these 9 boxes, and then there's an admin tile here that we click. All right. Okay, once I'm in the admin center, I'm going to expand the admin centers in the side pane and go to the SharePoint admin center. And as we can see here, I've wound up at that URL, qdabra-admin.sharepoint.com. So I want to go into the apps and the app catalog. All right, then I want to go to apps for SharePoint. And so here's my apps for SharePoint app catalog. Now all I need to do at this point is take this app file and upload it here. You can just drag and drop. Since I've already uploaded it before, it's prompting me to replace it, which I will do. And there it is. That's all there is to that. So once the app file is uploaded to the app catalog, you can come into site contents of whichever site where you want to add the FormsViewer app. Yeah, just go into site contents. You can find that under the gear as well. And I want to click on Add an App. And I'm going to just search for FormsViewer. And we've got a couple different FormsViewers installed here, so I'm going to go with the FormsViewer Europe. Okay, and I'm going to trust that. And I think in some cases, if you downloaded the US version of the app, there might be a space between Forms and Viewer, so just be aware of that. If you type FormsViewer and it doesn't show up, try it with the space. Okay, so this app is now installing on my site. This process usually takes a couple minutes just to get everything going. And while that's taking place, I'm going to show you sort of what my setup is. So what I have here is a form library where I want to store my XML forms. For this demo, I've put together a little survey about FormsViewer. It's just simple name, email, a yes/no question, and then a comment box. So what I want to do is use FormsViewer to submit documents to this document library, and I'm going to set that up as soon as this app finishes installing. Alright, still going there. In the meantime, we can get started on configuring the link functionality. So, oh, wrong folder. So, ordinarily, as you know, an ordinary SharePoint form library would be set up to open up its XML forms either in the SharePoint browser form, also known as IPFS, or to open them up in InfoPath. So what we need to do here is add a little bit of code to our library in order to sort of redirect those links on the page and have them open up in FormsViewer. So what I'm going to do here is, so this is what I extracted from that download. I'm going to make a copy of this file, call it -FormsViewer survey. Okay, and then I'm going to open up in text editor. Notepad++ is a great editor for this. It's a free download, or you can just use Windows Notepad. Okay, so code, you might find code a little daunting, but this is actually a very simple process in order to do the necessary changes. So I just need to worry about these four values right here. So the query string is something we're going to set up once the app is done installing. I'll show you how to do that. Template name is basically the name that we're using for the template within FormsViewer. As you're going to see in a moment, FormsViewer has its own repository for InfoPath templates, and each of them is assigned a name that you give them. So we're going to identify the form we want to associate with our library. And I'm going to call my template, let's see, just webinar. Just going to use this name here. Okay, and I'll put that there. Use name column. I'm going to change this to true. What this basically does is you have the option of leaving the name, the values in the name column in your library as is, or having them redirect to FormsViewer. Usually you're going to want to use true here, and we're going to upload an updated version of this this base file that'll have true as the default value, so you won't need to change it. For the FormsViewer domain, if you're using the US version of FormsViewer, you can leave this unchanged. I'm using the Europe version, so that's going to be -EU here. Okay, and we'll check install process. Okay, so there's the app all nice and installed. So I'm just going to click it to open it up. All right, now within this file there are instructions on how to specify this first value right here in this green line. This is also explained in a little more detail in the documentation that's provided with this file, But basically I want to open up the app, not go anywhere within it for now, and just copy this portion from the question mark, well, everything after the question mark. Just drop that in there. Okay, so now I'm done editing that file. I've saved it back to disk with the modified name, and we're going to return to this file in a moment. So let's look at the FormsViewer app now that we've got it going. We've got a Manage Credentials page, which I'm not going to show during this demo, but this allows you, if for example you want your forms to be able to access an external data source, an external service that requires credentials, you can specify a set of credentials to use to access that service, basically sort of service account credentials. Now I'm going to go into the Manage Templates page, and since I've been using this before, we've already got a couple of templates. I'm going to upload my template, and for the name here I'm going to use this same name, Webinar 2016-0825, and my file is in this folder here, survey.xsn, and upload. Alright, my form is now stored in FormsViewer. If I wanted to try out opening the form, I could use one of these open links. And what we've also got here is a diagnostics link. And this is going to come in handy when you're setting up your form on FormsBoard, because what this page does is it does an analysis of your form and looks for basically problems within the form that might cause it to not work within FormsViewer. It detects if you're using any controls that are not supported. It checks which QRules commands the form is using and cross-references them against the ones that are currently supported by FormsViewer. So we've got a nice set of tabs here. These are just some statistics about the form. We've got information about all the data connections, any views that it contains, whether or not it contains form code. This one does not. QRules. This one doesn't have QRules. This has one promoted property. Okay, so it looks at sort of best practices and looks for areas that might cause problems. Most of these are just suggestions. So data validation, my form doesn't use validation, but that's not a problem for FormsViewer. There should actually be a FormsViewer section. Under migration analysis, it checks for potential FormsViewer issues and tells you if there are any. This is saying that it looks like it can be migrated successfully, which I can vouch for in the case of this particular form. And here's just an analysis of basically the size of the form and what criteria it has. Here's one more analysis. This is our customer support form. It's got quite a lot more data connections, a couple more views. It has form code, and here's an analysis of all the QRules it has. And as we can see, this particular form, all of its QRules commands are supported by FormsViewer. Okay, so that's basically the way the scanner analysis goes. I've got my form uploaded to FormsViewer, so now it's time to start hooking it up with the library. So I'm going to go back to my site. All right, and now I want to go into my site assets library and upload that file I prepared. The file can technically go pretty much anywhere, but site assets is, I'd say, a good place for it, meaningful place for it. So I've prepared my file. You can see I have a test copy here from earlier today. And here again, I'm just going to drag and drop this file. And there it's been uploaded to the library. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my site contents. And I'm going to go into my document, my form library, and edit the page. And here we see the library list of documents actually shows up as a web part when I go into the edit page mode. And there's this little triangle that shows up when you hover over the web part. So I'm going to click that and click Edit Web Part. And I want to go into Miscellaneous. And here's this JS link setting. And what this basically allows me to do is specify a URL to a JavaScript file that I want to run when this web part or this page loads. So I want to point this at that file I just uploaded. So I'm going to use tilde site. This refers to the current site, and I want fv links dash, let me just check on that file name, FormsViewer survey.js. Okay, going to hit OK there. And I'm done editing my page, so I'm going to click Stop Editing. Okay, and now what we can see here is that when I hover, oh, it's not working. Okay, what went wrong? Let's try that again. Oh, I know what went wrong. So, I'm going to edit the page again. Go back into the properties. Alright, and what happened here was I forgot to include the site assets library in my URL. So, tilde site slash site assets slash file name. Okay. And I'm going to stop editing. Alright, so now we've got it right this time. And when I hover over the name of the document, we can see in the status bar at the bottom of the window that the URL is pointing to qfs-eu.formsco.com, and that is where the European Forms Viewer resides. So that's working. And what this also does is it redirects the new button here so that it will open a new document in FormsViewer. So I'm going to click New. This will open up a new tab in FormsViewer.
And Jimmy, you're in Japan. You're calling the European instance, right? So this is a worst case scenario in terms of load time, right?
Pretty much. It's a long way to Europe. We also have a FormsViewer instance in the US, which I imagine most of you would probably be using. Okay, so here we are in FormsViewer. We see that it has opened up, and it looks just like what I have here in InfoPath Designer. And I'm going to fill out my stuff. I'll use a fake email address. Are you planning to start using FormsViewer? Yes. Nice app. And I'm going to hit Submit. Alright, and there's my thank you page. And I can I can see if I come back to this library and refresh, there is my document, and I can click this and there it is, loaded up in FormsViewer with the data I entered. So that end-to-end is a pretty simple process to go through to set up your library to use FormsViewer. Now we've got a little hands-on experience here for all of you. If you'd like to try out this form, you can do so right now. Just go to tinyurl.com/FVS160825. That's FormsViewer survey and today's date. We've got this link to open up the app in anonymous mode. So you should be able to open up the form and fill it out yourself. So I'll give all of you about 40 seconds to do that if you want to, or you can just wait if not.
Well, that's great, Jimmy. Wonderful demo. I'm just doing my fill out from here, and it looks like it's working just fine. I pasted the link into the chat, and I'm going to quickly type in my info here with everyone else. Is that a rich text control with the comments there?
No, this is just a multi-line text box, but we do support rich text.
And it looks like mine opened pretty quickly, and I've already got the thank you page. Awesome job. I'm going to just quickly switch back to the. Do you want to refresh and see how many people?
Yeah, well, let's look at the contents of that library. And I do have one more little bit to demo. Oh, okay. Looks like Patrick is the only one. We've got some shy attendees today, perhaps. Oh, there's a test form. Okay, and one more thing to note here is that we've got one promoted property in this form, and it populates just fine. Submitting from FormsViewer, you can have as many promoted properties as you want, and they should populate on through. Now we have...
Before you go on, Jimmy, I just want to point out to the attendees that this is really a clever feature because it allows you to give your customers or your colleagues a link. They don't have to be logged in to your 365 site to fill out a form. So I just wanted to kind of emphasize that this is the external submit feature working, and it helps to reduce your cost of your 365 site. It also helps to create surveys that you can send links out to other people. So I hope that everyone got that. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yep. All right. So yeah, looks like we got a couple of submissions here. We even got one from a past U.S. president. Okay, so we have one more little bit to show you. This is a little tool we worked up recently for a specific scenario that a customer had. This might not be something that all of you need, but it can come in handy in certain situations. So we've made a little simple page called Update JS Links, and we can provide you with the necessary files and documentation for this upon request. And basically what this does is you saw me manually going into the web part properties and expanding that box and specifying the JS link value, and I got the URL wrong once, had to go back and correct it. What this little tool does is it will automatically crawl your site, or even a whole hierarchy of subsites, and look for libraries with a specific name and basically update that JS link property for you. So this came in handy for a particular FormsViewer user that had hundreds of sites that had basically the same structure with basically they each had one library with the same name, the same forms, but each one was used to sort of categorize the contents that were in them. So we didn't want them to have to go through each one of those sites and each one of those libraries one at a time and go through that edit page, paste the URL process. So we put this together. So all you need to do here is specify these 4 values. Some of them populate automatically, but you still might want to modify them accordingly. Here's the library name, and here's the file. This file doesn't actually exist, but I'm just going to show you how we can change that value automatically. So I'm going to click Run here, and let's make it interesting and start at the webinars level and click Run. And what we can see here is that it's slowly growing through each of the sites within webinars. It's showing a couple errors when it encounters an app. Apps sort of show up as sites when it's listing the sites, so these errors are nothing to be concerned about. We can see it's still going through each of the sites, and okay, and now it's done. Now, most of them didn't find a library called FormsViewer Survey, so it just went right past them. But in this site, 2016-0825, it did find that library and updated the web part. So now I can come back here, open up those properties again. And here we can see that it has been modified to mylinkfile.js. So yeah, if you have a lot of sites that have similar structure and need to use the same link file, then we can provide you with the files for this and tell you how to use it. So just let us know.
Oh, that's great, Jimmy. An awesome demo. Do you want to upload that to our InfoPath Dev downloads folder, maybe the new 1.2 folder, and we'll also make it available to webinar attendees. Thank you so much for presenting today. I'm going to quickly summarize our demo here. We have Jimmy successfully has installed FormsViewer, and he configured a library on our 365 site to open the forms. He submitted a form. He sent a link to you, and some of you submitted a survey and showed a cool technique for doing this in a batch way by crawling multiple subsites to update it automatically. I just want to point out that we have a lot of new, it's not just about supporting business continuity for your existing forms. We also have a lot of no-code form scenarios that are new with FormsViewer that you don't get with InfoPath. And here are just a few of them. I think a couple of these that bear mention are the ability to, of course, extract attachments, put them in a document library, and replace them with the URL, but also dynamically changing the library that you're submitting to or the libraries that you're querying from. And those two features come in quite handy. Also, being able to open a form from another form using the pass parameter, a very, very common solution when you're doing workflows and you want to send people a link and have them quickly open an approval form or a rejection form. So those are some of the no-code forms scenarios that are supported in FormsViewer. We now have more than 40 QRLs commands built in, so date calculations, replacing strings, formatting strings, lots of different extensions in FormsViewer that you don't find in InfoPath. We do have a few limitations. We're browser only right now, requires SharePoint. We do have on-prem version working, and we are looking at doing a standalone version that does not require SharePoint towards the end of this year, beginning of next year. And there's a few other limitations here, but the main controls, most of these controls like the optional sections and the bulleted and plain list, they're not heavily used. So, you know, obviously there's workarounds as well, but we are planning to finish the feature set so that it is 100% or 95% backward compatible. Any questions? We appreciate you being here, and the 28th is coming up very soon. It's actually on Sunday, and we're here to help you migrate if you need to do that. We don't provide free support for FormsViewer, but we'd be happy to answer any questions you have for free in email, and if you need help, we're happy to also provide that. And we do have cycles we'll be available over the weekend to help anyone who needs to convert before the Microsoft pulls the service. Now, who knows if they do or not, but we haven't heard otherwise yet, so we're still assuming that something might change on the 28th. Let's see, any questions? Looks like we don't have any questions. Well, Jimmy, I want to thank you again for being here today and doing that awesome demo, and for all the great work on FormsViewer that you've done over the years. This would not be possible without you. And I think, let's see, do we have any questions? We have one question from Evan, thank you, and another one from Hans, or a comment. So Evan's question is, could you submit back to an on-premise SharePoint library, only host the form on 365? So yes, that is possible if you configure those credentials that Jimmy showed underneath Managed Credentials. We have 365 forms that submit to separate web services running. So if you configure it that way, Evan, you can definitely do that. So that might be an interesting scenario for you, and we can help you set that up. And thanks, Hans, for the wonderful comment at the end, and thank you, Evan, for the question and the comment. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. We'll get this video up, and we'll send out the package, and take it easy. Have a great day.